Hi there, I'm Eshu Martin. Welcome to Living Zen. The Living Zen podcast began in 2009 as a way for me to share the Dharma talks and teachings I was offering in my capacity as abbot of Zen West Buddhist Society, which is a Zen Buddhist practice center in the Rinzai tradition on Vancouver Island in British Columbia, Canada. Over the next 8 years, more than 500 episodes were released on Living Zen, before the last episode was published in 2017. And I'm happy to say that those episodes are all still available right here. And a lot has happened since 2017. I stepped down from my role as Abbot of Zen West. I spent 6 years working as the spiritual health coordinator for a large hospice on Vancouver Island. I studied and trained in clinical hypnotherapy, neuro-linguistic programming, shamanic studies, and psychedelic therapy and ceremony, and I drew on all of it when I opened my own practice called Monarch Trancework. In my personal life, well, my marriage ended after 22 years. I survived a bankruptcy, my children grew up into amazing adults that I'm proud to know, and my Great Dane, Mr. Carson, aged beautifully, and eventually he died well, as an old, happy fella. And I did manage to find my way into a new home, a new town, and an amazing new relationship. It's been quite a ride. Oh yeah, and in the midst of all that, there was this pandemic thing you might have heard about. Along the journey, I've also been doing a deep dive into Scottish Gaelic language and culture, connecting more deeply with my own ancestral roots, and immersing myself in storytelling, not just the reading and the writing, but oral storytelling, especially in Gaelic and Norse mythology and folklore. Over the past year or so, I've been wanting to share some of what I've been learning along the road, and I always loved creating the podcast and connecting with people who are listening. So, I decided that rather than starting a whole new podcast, what I'd do is pick up where I left off. After all, truly living Zen isn't just about what happens in the meditation hall. It's also about what happens afterwards, when a person comes down from the mountaintop and goes back into the marketplace. Because being alive, with all of its messiness, with all of its excruciating beauty, with its joy and its loss and awakening and delusion, all of it is living Zen. Now, going forward, here's what you can expect from the Living Zen podcast. I'll share some guided meditations and trance work, as well as some learning around non-ordinary states of consciousness, from meditation to hypnosis to ecstatic trance to psychedelics. I'll engage in the practice and exploration of decolonization and reconciliation. I'll tell folktales and myth stories, and I hope to interview some of the people that I've come to admire and respect. You're welcome to enjoy whatever interests you and just leave the rest. I'd love to hear from you about what you enjoy about the podcast and even about what you don't. Likes and shares are lovely and they help to spread the word, and I love connecting with actual people. So, if you've got questions or comments, you can email me directly at eshu@monarchtrancework.com, and I'll put that email in the show notes as well. Now, let's get on with Living Zen.